so we're continuing our gluteal series, and this is level 2 of side lying drills, but those would be much harder, heavier reps.
Alright guys, I'm gonna do a voiceover because doing the harder drills like that is just not fun doing it and talking through. Okay, so here progression from the hip cars, controlled articular rotations that I've shown you in the part 1 and level 1. But here we're doing it with a long lever. So look at the position of my leg. If you know the hip cars with bent leg, you will be able to just reproduce the same movement but with a straight knee. So look at your toes, right? As you're starting with the leg inflection or hip inflection, like in front of you, you're turning your toes and kneecap to ceiling. And then you're going up and backwards, rotating your toes and kneecap to the ground. And you want to go slowly. We want to still watch out for that ilium, which is the part of the pelvis. So that part of the pelvis doesn't ride up to your ribs, right? So you want to definitely brace the abs. Obliques are playing a big part in this sort of irradiation. Okay. All right, so moving on to the next one, you may now grab a weight and work harder. So between 1 and 4 kilos, we're doing the same movement we've done with simply body weight in part 1, level 1. So if you want to add more resistance, but because you don't have weights, just use your hand. If you've got weights, start lower and progress, okay? I would say 10 to 15 reps. You should already start filling the area, right? It doesn't take long. Careful not to move the lower back though. Progressing, table slide. It literally looks like a step up, but in a side lying position. So you want to, when you're doing a table slide, you want the knee, foot, and hip to stay roughly at the same level, parallel to the ground, right? Positioning of the hip. Remember to turn your toes slightly downwards. So you're actually staying in neutral. And you're working the whole glute medius, including anterior fibers that are actually internal rotators of the hip. So here I'm showing you the first setup, which is the mix of hip abduction with a table slide. And you're just trying to keep that book. I'm using my tablet, so it's actually extra load. But you're trying to keep that weight, that book or that tablet parallel to the ground. So hopefully by now you feel a little bit of effort, maybe some numbness, maybe some burning. Try not to stop though. All right, now finisher is simply to that slider. Knee to chest, foot away. So you're going from flexed hip to neutral hip. See if 10 reps is okay. Okay, I definitely felt that at this point. But don't give up, all right? Unless you really have to stop, try to push through. You will see that over time you will get stronger and you will be able to do this for a longer time and more reps. Oh yes, spicy. It's done now. Moving on. Okay. So now grab a resistance band. It would be a loop ideally. And we're going into band assisted clams. Okay. It's not necessarily maybe the best exercise to target the glutes or get the feeling, but it's a nice top up. So squeeze your heels together. You see that I'm keeping my feet up in the air. And then the lower leg is pushing into the ground, trying to pin the band, while the top leg is doing all the abducting. Okay, so it's abduction with a bit of external rotation. I'm sure that 10 reps will do, right? Let's do the other side. So join me, follow along, and let's start from the top. So now pay attention to the position and movement from the hip. I'm just going to show you 5 reps of straight leg, hip, controlled articular rotations, where we're going through all the movements of the hip. So you start in flexion and external rotation, going into abduction, extension, internal rotation, and adduction. So think mostly of your thigh bone, right? The front of your thigh should be turning either to ceiling at this point, then pointing forwards, and then turning downwards. And then irradiation, using your hands, maybe pushing into the ground. So you're keeping your torso, your lower back still, your pelvis doesn't move, all right? If you're moving your pelvis, if the side of the pelvis is riding up to your armpit, it means you're moving your lumbar spine. So we're trying to be very, very precise. Don't rush, okay? It's much harder. It looks easy, but it's not that easy. It's simple, but not easy. And I would always take a deep breath in before I start the rep, and then exhale, slow exhalation as you're moving through the range. Okay, going into abduction and flexion. So grab your dumbbells, grab your weights, whatever you've got, okay? I'm using my tablet just because I don't have any kind of suitable dumbbells around. But you want the dumbbell to be on your thigh, not below the knee, but above the knee. But as close to the knee as possible, so you're still using quite a decent leverage. And again, I lift on the exhalation, but I don't want my pelvis to roll backwards. And then move on to the table slide with abduction. So that foot, knee, and hip stay level. You're going to close, abduct, do a table slide, bring it back to flexion, and lower. Notice I am not resting, okay? That's intentional. And I'm definitely feeling the fatigue accumulating in my hip. And it may start getting a little bit uncomfortable. But we're still looking at proper execution of this movement. And then just top up with that table slide. Again, aim to have your knee, foot, and hip level. Okay, my camera points down a little bit, so it can kind of change how it looks. But we're doing our best that the heel stays at the level of your sit bone. Maybe that's the better way to put it. So aim for 10. The breathing is a tool to help you persevere. All right, last one, get the loop. I'm using a medium resistance on this one. Squeeze the heels, press your lower leg down, press it hard, pin that loop, and then try to only move your thigh bone. Just the leg, okay? We're not moving the lower back, we're not trying to cheat. Proper execution. Right, I'm cooked here. Well done, guys, it's all done for now. I will see you in part 2 where we cover prone position. Okay, see you then.